YouTube, how we doing? Pass the Prop is back here. We're back for our Friday shows. It is NFL edition week 14, last bye week, so we're getting everybody else out of the way. We're finishing up all of those before we get into, fantasy playoffs. It's the last week of fantasy football regular season here. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. What's good, man?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much, obviously. Very interesting primetime game yesterday with – what was the lowest total I've ever seen outside of an Iowa game and what we've seen in like 100 years. It turned out to be a little bit more entertaining than expected. But yeah, good night overall. Excited to get into NFL this week. Think we got a lot of good plays.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't even watch the first half. I was playing against the Patriots defense in fantasy, and thank God they at least they got some special teams help to get them that extra touchdown. Really saved the Patriots from just having a massive defensive day. So really helped me out there towards the end. But yeah, better game than expected. It's kind of funny now with ESPN Bet, they now post, total went over in the first half on the bottom, dude. That shit's so weird, bro. They're so late to the game, man. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you can get over there, you should. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, more competition, the better. But it's there's some problems for sure. And I mean, I don't know if it reminds me, do you remember the Durand Bland pick six when FanDuel put in parentheses, he has 5 already? Like, that's the most insane thing I've ever, like, they're going to start putting the props.cash graph under every play now before you bet on it so that you can easily take the screenshot for Twitter and show that your play's hit in 5 of the last 5. So it's obviously going to hit in the 6th game. So it's funny. These sports books are going to do whatever they can. I mean, on DraftKings, there's a tab, which I didn't even realize for the longest time. That's like an information tab or whatever. That's like,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Why would I ever click on this? You know what I mean? Why would I ever read the DK Sportsbook Live DFS picks of the week? It's your website. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but either way, that's why you come here, right? We got you covered. We don't have any affiliations. They don't give us any money. We take the money from them and hopefully help you guys do the same.
For sure. Got a good slate here on today's action here. Let's we have NBA last time, right? NBA was last time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll go through that quick just so while we're having people trickle in. We got 15 of you guys in here right away. We appreciate you. Took the L on my boy Sengun. Ended up almost – he didn't even double-double. His double-double was like minus 260. Didn't even double-double. Did get there on the assists number. Just didn't grab the boards. And my biggest bet of the day, I was betting on Sadiq Bey, man. I bet on him 3-point threes made. He had a plus 200 for that, hit 3 of them. Ended up with like 18 points. Dude was really, really nice. Thank God. Just started chucking, and I love it, dude. I loved it. So that was awesome. I believe Denny did get there, right? Or
no, he did not. Ended a point short. 3 for 11, I believe. 8 points, I think, is what he ended up with, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then, the Cam Thomas show that everybody liked. Just do what? 2 for 14, I think it was?
Yeah. I don't know. It was clear after the first quarter. It's like, this is not hitting. But, like, the whole world also, like, melted down. Like, calm down, guys. We got good CLV. You lost a bet. That's called life. We've done that a lot of times before. It's unfortunately going to happen again. This one was obviously funnier because every single one of us had this bet. Like, everyone. Of course it goes under. I mean, that's the way it is sometimes. I don't feel bad, like I said, about making the bet. I think I laid out a good argument. I think if you clip it and put it on Twitter, I would not feel ashamed of, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But yeah, sometimes you got to smile. If you take that to heart, if you go down, you're not going to make it that much longer. I've had way worse beats than that. So sometimes you just got to laugh at yourself, cross off that $100 and, make it back tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just too overexposed to Mikal Bridges to even have any other stuff in that game. I was way too overexposed to Mr. Bridges there. And now it's a fully healthy Nets team outside of Ben Simmons. So it's tough to bet on them now, especially in like DK and stuff like that. Their prices are too high. But let's get to some NFL. We got some NFL action on the slate today. Stu, I guess we could kind of talk about this a little bit. We have full slate. What is the game that you're looking at first?
We have some good ones, obviously. We have a couple good ones. I think it's got to be Buffalo, Kansas City. I mean, I talk about the shitty games being fun sometimes. I do enjoy them, but I mean, come on. Prime time. I mean, this is the game. You know what I mean? I remember, watching this one, having good memories every time these two teams square off. It's always fun. It's always great for betting. So that's clearly the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, tough to argue there. I want to watch Cowboys, Philly. Obviously, I want to see that one as a Dak Prescott, CD Lamb fantasy owner. That's going to help me out too. I'm excited for that one. But also, I kind of want to go a little bit under the radar. I want to watch the battle of these backup quarterbacks, baby. Indy, Cincy. I want to see what Browning does in his encore performance here. I mean, I'm looking at this. You talk about some of the best teams in the league, right? I mean, the Lions, probably one of the best offenses in the league. And their defense has been terrible, right? Detroit and the Bears are 1 point behind that, right? So Indy has a higher total than that game with two backup quarterbacks. And, that's crazy to me. You got Fields and Goff back and ready to play. And now you got two backups and they have a higher total. And I don't think their defenses are significantly worse than them. It's just they're expecting some offense there, and I love to see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't know if Browning could keep up what he was doing, but if he can get anywhere close, that would be fun. And I mean, we've kind of been talking about, Steichen is doing a phenomenal job over there. He's making this team look legit, even though, I mean, you could have written their season off, right? Once they lost, I mean, Richardson is the plan for the future. Once you lose a guy like that, in the NFL world, it kind of becomes acceptable to tank. But they kept on going. They're fighting. They just got their defensive tackle, Stewart, back this week as well, which should help in the run game, make the other team throw more. And, hey, Joe Flacco chucking the ball around a little bit more. I didn't think that would sound good to me, but after last week, I think that sounds good to me.
Perfect. Yeah. Definitely. Start Flacco, bro. I don't want to see Thompson play no more. I liked him in college. Joe Flacco's still elite, baby. Still elite Joe Flacco. Chucking that ball around. Sign me up for that. I guess it is time. Let's bet on some dogs here, boys. Let's bet on some dogs here. What is your dog play of the week here for week 14?
Okay, guys. You might not
see if we're on the same one. And with that reaction, I think we might be on the same one. That's how I feel about mine.
I don't think so, because I'm going to the Broncos again, back-to-back weeks. They lost for me last week. My second dog of the week, loser on the year, bringing me to 11-2 on the season. Now we're at underdogs. The Bucs score lied in that game. That was a game the Broncos had a good they had a good chance right there. But either way, I'm not gonna get salty. We're not gonna focus on the past. We're gonna focus on the future. I don't understand this game. I truly don't understand this game. I don't see where the total is. Why I've already bet 1.5 units on the under at 44, and it moved against me to 44.5 on it. It's still 44 most spots, but you can get a 44.5 if you line shop now. I just don't get this line. There must be something I'm missing. Someone must have told Herbert that if you don't win this game, your life's over or something. They scored 6 points against the fucking Patriots last week. Look what Mitch Trubisky just did to that team. And it's very easy to see why. They have one effective offensive player right now. His name is Keenan Allen. Luckily for the Denver Broncos, they have one of the best cover corners in the league. His sole focus should be, don't let their one good player beat us. Beyond that, what do the Chargers have? I love Herbert. I am the Herbert fan on this show. It hasn't been happening, and I don't want them as a favorite ever. I only want them as a dog. So now we're getting them laying points after a pathetic performance. The Broncos looked bad. They kind of got fucked at the end of that game. I still think that was a live cover. I was watching until the very end. Obviously, I had money on that as well. But I think this is a good chance for them to stay in this game, keep it close, and possibly win outright. I don't have any faith in the Chargers right now. And I just don't understand where all this hypothetical offense is coming. Who's moving the ball? I mean, I know Herbert's awesome, but look at the guys that are out there right now and tell me who's putting up 100 yards if Keenan Allen's getting strapped all game. So I don't know. It's ugly. I hate going back to a team that just fucked me like that because I had a lot of the Broncos last week, but we're running it back again this week.
Don't hate that at all. Plus 120 on the money line, definitely live. I will be. I'll say it right now. I already have my single entry NFL lineup, and the Broncos defense is my number one. They are my defense this week. Chargers still have that name value that brings the price down on the other side. So I will be rolling with them. And I will say this dog pick is contingent on Derek Carr playing, bro. If Jameis plays here, we're fucked. Jameis is about to put up 30. I'm telling you right now. If Derek Carr comes in and plays, we take the 5.5. If it's Jameis, I don't want to get in front of a freight train. That is Jameis Williams, bro. Or not Jameson Williams. Jameis Winston. That dude's that's my guy. He's my Kevin Knox of the NFL, bro. That's who he is.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be rolling with him if he is ruled in. But, dude, I kind of fuck with this Panthers team a little bit, dude. I kind of fuck with them a little bit. You got Chuba Hubbard just getting absolute bell cow work. You still got Miles Sanders in there as a change of pace. What a shit contract that was. My God. What are you doing there? Chuba Hubbard's an absolute monster right now. Dude's getting 25 carries last week. Yeah. And even if they lose, they've been playing close games. One-score game to Tampa. One-score game to Tennessee, at Tennessee. One-score game, lose by 3 in Chicago, right? They lost by 2 to Houston. Or I think they might have did they beat Houston? I think they might have beat Houston.
Wait, who? Sorry, say that again?
The 15-3 game. Did they beat Houston?
Wait, I don't remember, honestly.
I think it was a 15-3, whatever, 15-13 game to Houston. Looks great now, right? They've been playing better. And I love
You're right.
I love seeing Mr. Mingo start getting some work. I loved him in college. I'm happy to see him coming in. He'll be in my DFS lineup as one of my value plays this week. Really like that. I don't trust the Saints offense at all. You got a illness going to Chris Olave now. So you're just going to tell me that these guys are going to have to run through with Kamara, who they can't run. They have no rushing game there. You look at last week, they shut down Rashad White, obviously not the most efficient runner, but you take away that 30-yard carry, he only had 42 yards, right? So I'm going with Bryce Young in this Panthers team. Give me almost a touchdown. But like I said, if Jameis is playing, I'm off of it because I think he's actually a competent quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel about this. It's I can't this game. I looked at it and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's just so hard to get real bets in on this game. I agree. I think the Panthers, I guess, would be the side to take, if anything, right here. The Saints are so injured right now, and it's really killing them in the run game in particular. And like you said, if Chuba Hubbard can just keep on trucking on, right, if he can keep doing what he's doing at this high volume right now, then we like that. And the advanced stats have been backing it up all year. To me, I'm always really slow to react to guys that maybe don't pass the eye test as much at first. Even when the advanced stats are telling you they're good, Chuba is a good example of that. Very early on, they were saying he should probably have the job. Same with Kyron Williams, both guys that I wasn't convinced it was true, but the advanced stats are there, and now we're seeing the production as well. So I agree. I think it's going to be a slow game, maybe actually one of the slowest games of the season so far. And in that case, you want the dog, right? You always want the dog. And I don't know if the Panthers can score, but for me, this would be a Panthers or bust kind of bet.
Yeah, when you have a total at 37, 36, and you're giving me a full touchdown in that game, if the Panthers score 2 touchdowns, do I trust that the Saints can score 20 points? I don't even know. I don't even know if I would trust that offense because it's so gross. But yeah, definitely like that spot. And if I had to pick a dog this week, I'm going to go with the Panthers. And this one, Stu, you got anything else before we get into our props here? We got 25 live viewers here with us, joining us live here. Few of you guys popping over on Twitter as well. Anything you got before we get a roll here?
Well, I mean, I'll say if you have any questions right now, I'm sorry, I got my tweet out a little bit late, so I know people may be trickling in if you're not catching up live right now. Always feel free to drop your questions, comments, stuff like that below in the comment section. We're here to help. We're here to answer those questions, whether it's betting, DFS, or fantasy. We got 5 guys to talk about today, but at the end of the day, this is a huge slate with a lot of names. We're not going to be able to get to everyone. So if you want us to talk about someone, let us know now. We'll get through it throughout the course of the show.
Awesome. Well, let's get it moving. Let's get it rolling here. And I'll kick it to you to start us off here with your combo spot.
Perfect. We're going to a little parlay right here. Only available on DraftKings. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things where we're probably get a slightly better line on FanDuel when we get that alt line. I'm going to Devontae Adams, 50 receiving yards. Justin Fields, 50 rushing yards, -122. I think I'm going to really like Davante Adams this week. And I haven't seen a single person post about Davante Adams this week. It feels like a lot of people forget the Raiders exist anymore, which is completely fair. They're not a fun team to watch. They're not a particularly enjoyable team to watch. But under this new coaching staff, we've seen two things so far which give me hope. One, they have their priorities straight. Give the ball to Josh Jacobs, give the ball to Davante Adams. That is the game plan. And that should be the game plan, right? We don't need to get cute. It was fun cashing all those Jacoby Myers props in the beginning of the year. We very much enjoyed that. That doesn't mean that's the smart thing to do from a coaching perspective. It's to feed the guys that you paid a shit ton of money to be your star players. And I think that's what happens right here. The second thing, I read a stat, and we just talked about this a second ago, with advanced stats maybe not being backed up by things that you see with your eyes. Aiden O'Connell has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league against cover two and these heavy like cover two like zone defenses that are obviously becoming more and more popular. Here's the thing. The Vikings play a very specific kind of defense where they blitz like 20% higher than anyone else. They go right at you. They don't have the corners to match up one-on-one and play man like most teams do when they blitz at that rate. So they drop back and say, if we don't get to you, we're going to allow a 20-yard catch, an 11-yard catch, and we're going to try again next, right? That's their strategy. And I really like it. I'm a big fan of Flores. It's doing a lot with a little, right? They don't have the talent, so they're making up for it with scheme. And I love that because I think we can take advantage of that on the other side. And there are so few wide receivers that I'm confident that will not only get the deep work, but will also get that short intermediate work. Look what just happened in primetime when we saw the Justin Fields check down mania, right? When they faced this Vikings defense, it was get the ball out fast, get the ball out fast. Davante Adams, like I said, we know he can win downfield. We know he's one of the best route runners in the league, but he also is going to, in my opinion, have at least 2 to 3 screen passes as well, which always gives you that safe volume. Definitely going to be looking at receptions in this one a lot. I think he's a really underrated player. And that doesn't mean Aiden O'Connell is going to be the number one player against cover two all year, right? I'm not trying to make that argument. And I would never even say that he's, that analysis, that stat is shown in real life. But I went back and I watched, and when he faced these cover two shell teams, he looked like a somewhat competent quarterback. So I think that's the situation we get here. And I think there's pretty good reason to be high on Davante Adams. He's a guy that I'm going to be laddering up to 100 receiving yards in this one. And when we get the receptions ladders, like I said, with those low ADOT targets coming in, hopefully I want to get that as well. Justin Fields is a little bit easier to talk about because it's going to be one of the more popular plays this week. I like bringing it down for the safety in this game script right here. But man, 100-plus yards in 3 straight games against the Lions. We've been betting rushing quarterbacks against the Lions for almost 3 years now. I mean, it's insane. And it's the same exact system of one. They have a very good traditional rush defense, which means it's very hard to beat their front four. Additionally, they also do a very good job at getting pressure without blitzing, which is obviously going to force the quarterback to scramble a little bit more. And then in addition, they play heavy man coverage. We've seen the direct correlation between quarterbacks having more success against man-heavy teams because obviously the corners are focused on their individual responsibilities, not as much turning around to help right there. And I mean, like I said, you look at the game logs from the past couple of games. I mean, it's insane. The volume's going to be there when you logically look at this offense. There's a very little argument to not see Justin Fields with 10-plus rush attempts. I always love longest rush, but I laid out the same argument when we talked about this and when we cashed this ticket the first time they played this year, which is I love the longest rush, but if I think he's going to have a 16-yard rush and I think he's going to have 16 carries, I think it makes more sense to take the yards in the end, right? Even if he obviously doesn't get to that high efficiency mark, I think there's a higher chance he gets there on volume than efficiency. So we're going to take the yards right here. Like I said, another guy that is very worth laddering up. The only problem is 100 rushing yards for a quarterback. You should be getting a spectacular price. You're really not because it's Justin Fields, and we've seen him do it in 3 straight games. So that's the negative of laddering up a little bit right here is that the prices are a little bit more fair. But I think when you ladder down, they're actually not quite adjusted as much as they maybe should be right here. So 2 of the most consistent guys, at least in their respective departments, very much like this combination right here.
I love it. I got no issues with Fields. I want to play him a lot in DFS as well. On Bet365, we're getting a 105. We never really use that one just because I know there's not that many people who have that. But if you do, obviously They always have nice prices over there, so go lock that in over on there. And since we started out with your combo play, I'm going to my combo play, and I'm going to my boy Michael Pittman, CeeDee Lamb combo here, FanDuel. They're giving me plus money on this spot. Absurd. This is absolutely absurd. First off, let's talk about Pittman. Dude's been a wagon for me. I've been playing him at low ownership in DFS because they've been pricing him up right away, and they should have from the beginning, right? I mean, let's just look at from week 6 to 13, right, where Gardner Minshew has been the only quarterback. 33% target share is nuts. We have 24 10-yard catches. We have all of these numbers down the field. He's getting red zone work. He's getting the short passes. And what I really like is they're literally just he's not even looking at somebody else. On half of these plays, I was watching that game, had a lot of Pittman, had a lot of Moss last week. Minshew didn't even look at somebody else. Like it wasn't even close. Like, I know I saw a couple people on Josh Downs last week, and it was a fantastic matchup for him too, because Tennessee is terrible against the pass. But, dude, he was an afterthought. He was a full-on afterthought. Granson had more catches than him, bro. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know Downs had a couple of those big weeks. He's only had an 18% target share here, bro. You got no Jonathan Taylor out there. Someone's got to get the job done, right? And they're giving me minus 200 on this, minus 215. I think that's crazy. I bet on his 6.5 receptions last week. I bet on him on the show here last week. I'm just going to keep going there. I understand Minshew might not be the flashiest guy, but the dude's getting the job done. He's moving the ball down the field. I love that Alec Pierce made a big play last week, opens up that field, opens up that middle. That's what I need for Pittman. I don't want them sinking those safeties down, taking away that middle spot. You can just run Alec Pierce like Gabe Davis straight down the field, right? Get that safety to back up. Get those underneath routes. I absolutely love Pittman this week. Love the target share. I don't care about the Cincy matchup. I'm not worried about it at all. We've seen multiple guys last week go over their receiving props. You go to Evan Ingram, who's going across the middle as well. Zay Jones went over his receiving yards prop last week. Obviously, the injury to Christian Kirk will help you a little bit there. But we even saw Ridley make that big play at the end of the game. I know there was a holding call, but we saw them get cooked down there as well in a huge spot in double coverage. So I'm not worried at all. I think this team is really missing Bates a lot now that he's over in Atlanta and doing work out there. But big miss for them. I know they had to sign back anyway, so aren't going to re-sign him because you got to sign Burrow and all that. So that's nor here nor there. Going to CeeDee Lamb, we saw him have to cook these guys, 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Stewie, can you hear me? We good? Am I good or am I off?
I was muted. Sorry, you're good. You're back. You're good.
Okay. So, yep, I'm gonna be rolling with CD here. I looked at games that were within 7 points. Every time it's been within 7 points, he's gone over, right? You can't use the full game data with 40-0 sprinkled in there, 37-3 against the Niners, right? But in these big games, right? Let's look at those, right? We got Philly, 16 targets last week, 17 targets. I mean, even against the Rams there, he had 14 targets. This dude is just an absolute target machine. They got other players that do their jobs well, but you know who he's going to. He's going to CeeDee Lamb, and I want to be on this game a lot. Philly could not guard him at all. They even sent bracket at him a few times, couldn't stop him even on that. So Dak's been playing at a high elite level, and you want to be on his number one guy in this matchup. So sign me up in the dome. CD's going over this, baby. I'd rather play this line.
Yeah, I really like that this is plus money right here. I mean, these are two guys that I really like this week as well. I have FOMO. I keep tailing your Pittman bets, but I'm not going overly aggressive on them. And like you said, I mean, the 33% target share. Pittman has implement whatever wide receiver one that you want. Devontae Adams, the Tyreek Hill, the Justin Jefferson. He's on that level of target share, right? That 33% mark is the elite mark in the NFL that we want to be striving for. Additionally, like you said, the first read target share, I'm pretty sure is the highest in the NFL. I haven't checked the updated this week, but I did see it was last week as well with Gardner Minshew in there. So you love to see that. I love CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm probably going to have to just bet the 90 yards too. I normally don't like getting that high up in general, but I do think 90 yards is going to be a bet for me on CD. You there?
Yeah, I muted myself because I was going to let you go there just because my dog was barking a little bit. So I had to give you – I didn't want to have you have to deal with that throughout your breakdown there. But, yeah, love this spot. Plus money is something you always want there. And, yeah, I really like that game environment. You're in a dome, too, where a lot of these games have weather issues. Something just to add on for another spot there, not having to worry about that. So we are both going 2 quarterbacks for plays 3 and 4. Stu, I don't think we got any other questions. Actually, we got one here. Gabe Davis, you have any thoughts on this?
I don't think I'm going to get there. It's tough because the thing is, you got to remember what we've looked at with the Bills these last couple of weeks. We don't know if it's real or fake now that Dawson Knox is back. Like I talked about, one of my biggest edges on those Shakir bets earlier this year was the fact that they went from that heavy switch of 2 tight end, 12 personnel sets to suddenly a bunch of 3 wide receiver sets. And Gabe Davis's role changed in those 3 wide receiver sets. It was less deep routes. It was more over the middle. I don't know what we're going back to because Davis hasn't been that good. Are we still playing? I'm just, it's a no for me, I guess, is the short answer. But that's my thought process there. And additionally, you're going against a team that plays more too high safety coverage than any other team in football. So they're sitting back. They're trying to stop those deep plays. I think they probably have some success doing that.
Beautiful. Stu, play number 2. Take it away, my friend.
We're going Lamar Jackson over 8.5 rush attempts, minus 135. This was going to be my late night hammer last night at 2 a.m. For my Discord guys. They still did hear about that. But I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait just to make sure he's back in practice today, because there's nothing worse than sending out that tweet at 2 a.m, waking up at 10 and seeing Lamar Jackson not practicing for the second straight day due to illness, and nobody's telling. He's back. They have video. He looks like he's moving around. The beat reporters are saying, okay, looks like he's good to go this week. Mysterious illness is nothing to worry about. In that case, this is a terrible number, and I'm super happy to take advantage of it. I do not think it should be 8.5. I think it should be 9.5 minus 135 is around where I would have opened up my line. I have to pay about 5 cents for waiting from last night till this morning on the juice right there, but I'll take that with the injury clarity right here because, like I said, I think this will probably move by game time. Whether we have rainy conditions or not, obviously the forecast is a big debate in that game so far. I love this spot. In my opinion, those conditions obviously only make this kind of play better, right? When you take away what this Lamar Jackson offense does, beyond the fact that they're one of the best rushing attacks in football, the way they move the ball is the deep ball, right? They're not really a dink and dunk kind of offense, similar to how CJ Stroud kind of carries that team with explosive plays. When they're not running the ball, the explosive plays are obviously what's generated from bringing those safeties in and those kind of coverages. So for me, when you take away the explosive plays, this Ravens offense has a lot of concerns. They're a great running team, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I think in a close competitive game, I think he might crush this number. I was staring at 15 rush attempts last night at 1,200 or whatever, and I had to get a couple dollars on that. I mean, it's not up on any of these other spots yet. It's only up on 365 and offshores right now for those alternative overs, but I just had to. And I know he hasn't hit 15 rush attempts so far this year, but if we're in a downpour, right, if we're in bad weather conditions, and Gus Edwards is getting stuffed up the middle, because you got to remember, the Ravens are a spectacular running team, but there's 2 very common. There's inside zone running, and then there's, more outside zone running, at least for what the Ravens are looking at. They love inside zone. They love it. Gus Edwards, they got these bruisers. Success rate does not say that that's their strongest form of defense, though. It would say you should probably run outside more. You should probably incorporate the quarterback runs more. Aaron Donald is right there on the other side, right up the middle. You know what I'm saying? These guys, the Rams, at least the interior defensive line is the stronger part of that team. So in theory, I think Gus Edwards, these guys have a little bit of a tougher game. I think it's the Lamar Jacksons, it's the Keaton Mitchells that really do the work on the outside in this one. Tons of volume, like I said. I mean, the Rams offense is proven to be a great backdoor cover team. They are great at staying competitive. It's never one of those games where they're getting absolutely crushed. And I do think that weather conditions can always be the kind of limiting factor. It can bring everything back. It can make a game a close game. And I think whether we get rain or not, because right, this is 8.5 for Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, this is not a crazy number. This is a regular number. But I think adding the conditions, the upside of that, makes this a phenomenal bet right here. So I love Lamar. I think this is just a line too short right here. So I'm definitely taking Lamar. Might be worth adding some more to throughout the week as well.
Beautiful. Love the breakdown. As always, I will be sprinkling that with you. I like that analysis with the weather there as well. And talking about weather, I thought Kansas City would be a little worse, but I'm going to be rolling with Josh Allen over completions. FanDuel line right now, minus 103. You can get, I think, minus 103. And then it's 23.5 at minus 140, which I didn't want to touch that one. So I'll say here, just looking at games that Buffalo has lost this year, right? They have 6 losses. Josh Allen has gone over this completion mark in 5 or 6 of those games, right? Obviously, that's a trend you want to look at, as I assume they're not going to win this game, seeing how bad they've been playing. But this is a must-win, and I don't need to watch this running game run straight into the back of their center every single time and get 3 yards, right? You need to put the ball in your best player's hands to make something happen here, and you got to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not going to be in the playoffs if you lose, dude. You're going to be way too far out. So this is a must-win. Give the ball to Josh Allen, let him do his thing. Also, what I want to talk about was last week. Obviously, they fired their offensive coordinator, I think, 2 games ago, right after that Denver loss. They only have 1 play over 30 yards in the last 2 weeks.
Interesting.
1 play. Bro, it wasn't even that hard of a matchup last week. I get it. Philly's nice, right? I get it. Their defense is good. But you could beat them deep. We just saw CeeDee Lamb beat them deep. And you knew the ball was going to him, right? There was opportunities to do that, but Josh Allen's checking it down, which I love. You got a team now that will make you check it down, right? And the only 1 play that he had over that was an 81-yard touchdown pass. I believe that was to Shakir in the Jets game. That was the only pass over 30 yards in these last 2 weeks. If you take that out, right, we're looking at what? Under 200 yards on 19 completions in that Jets game, which means we're getting close to like that 8-9 average, right, which is significantly lower for him than his usual average. Now we have a team here that will make you do it. You have another weapon in there that's a short target weapon, right, with Dawson Knox, Kincaid, Shakir runs those shorter routes. Stephon Diggs, I'm expecting to be in those shorter routes. And then you have Gabe Davis, right? But Gabe Davis is what, 3-4 targets a game, right? Just deep. Here, I think that they're going to dink and dunk their way down the field. James Cook is obviously a good enough receiving back. I think Kansas City is going to make it happen here. I think it's going to be a tough spot. I took Jordan Love completions over last week, and I took his pass attempts over, took at his yards, right? I mean, obviously I'm a Packers fan, so that's bias there. But what I'm saying is we still just saw it happen again. 5 of 6. He's gone over in losses here. In Kansas City, one of the best first half scoring teams, which is something I always look at for these guys trailing in games. Dude, this guy went over against this in the Patriots game, man. He went over this in a Jets game, right? You got to keep up with Mahomes, and I think Mahomes is going to start chucking it. I think they're going to have to start chucking it too, because that last week was just a joke, dude. They look like absolute bums. I'm sure Andy Reid's been hearing that all week, that they look like shit. Throw the ball. Let's see this game get up there, dude. This is a game that you want, because they're both good. If you want to play a track meet with the Bills, they're more than willing. That's what they want to do. I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense is a little bit better, and I think that's why they win this game. But like I said, I think Josh Allen soars over this number.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, when you look at it, obviously, the other thing they got going for them is, you mentioned they want to play in the shootouts. They don't have a choice. Their defense sucks, right? It's a really bad defense, right? And it's Patrick Mahomes on the other side. So you'd have to think they're going to have to respond in this game, right? If their defense continues to play at the level it is, and Mahomes even just being a bare minimum, like we've seen Russell Wilson, like you said, cook these guys. So it's not even like we need a Mahomesian performance. We need you to be like Matt Ryan a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Just give us the middle of the road and we probably get a shootout in this game. My biggest thing, like I said to you before the show, is just in a world that with Josh Allen, right? I don't ever see myself or I don't ever see Josh Allen having 25 completions and those 25 completions somehow not making it for 250 passing yards. But I do see a world where he does have, 280 passing yards and he sits at 21, 22 completions. So that's the space I always find myself at. Like when I saw you play this, I liked the spot. But then I was shocked to see 250 was an option. Because for me, a guy like Josh Allen, 25 completions should probably line up with the 270 to 280 range. The counter argument to that would obviously be that the Chiefs run more cover two shells than any other team in football. They're number one in the NFL, which means they want to keep everything in front of you and force you to dink and dunk. So I agree with your logic. I think you laid out a really good argument right there. But at the end of the day, too, in my heart, it's still like, I'd rather bet 300 passing yards. I feel like we're getting good value on that. I'm going to lock that in after this show right here. So it's not like I don't like your pick. It's just like, it's
just a weird thing to see. It's just a weird thing to see. What I will say, 3 of the last 4 games, he's had under a 7-yard per catch average, which is nuts. Yeah. It's something you just never see, right? You just see him forcing the ball down the field a little bit more. They just haven't been doing it. And like I said, there's been, of the last, 7 games, 3 of those games he didn't even have a 30-yard completion. 4 of those games he didn't even have a 40-yard, right? I mean, he's been sitting at 31 or 30. Last year we were seeing Josh Allen longest completion at like 38.
Every game. Yep.
You could bet the under this year and you just win 7 of the last 8 games outside of Shakir breaking that tackle and taking a 8-yard route to the house, right? So it was tough for me too as a Josh Allen fan and owner here, and I'm benching him again this week for Dak Prescott against the Eagles. I got both of them, so kind of have to.
Yeah,
I bet I got Dak in like the 6th or 7th round, bro, just sitting back there, drafted Allen early, and I'm enjoying I'm enjoying the fruits there now at this point. But definitely think 300 is a good look. I just rather would take the 300 than the 250 because I think that we're going to get to this number either way. 253.5 on FanDuel right now to get that is wild. It is very wild, but I'm going to stick with Mr. Allen here.
And I just figured at least someone out there would probably have a similar thought process to what we have. But yeah, bringing back all that cover two, bringing back Dawson Knox again. I hate to say it. I think everyone in the world is going to want to bet the Kincaids of the world, the Diggs of the world. Do you think that the best bet beyond this one right here is James Cook, like receptions or receiving plus rushing? Because it's so unsexy, but like he's just going to get those dump downs. Like when they're sitting in those, he's going to get that 7-yard 1st and 10 handoff because the defense doesn't want to give up a 23-yard pass, So I don't know that I might have to get to some James Cook receiving at some point in this game as well.
Yeah, not a bad look at all. One other thing too is if you want to go to even last year, stayed under the total last year in their game against Kansas City. He went 27 for 40, went for over 300. Obviously, you look at that game, he still didn't have a massive 98-yard pass or anything. 34 was his longest one, but just saying, like, that was in Kansas City again last year in the regular season, and he still got there. Got the 300 and got there, but he didn't have any big plays, right? He didn't have like the explosive plays. So I think that could be kind of what we're looking at here too, which I'll probably bet the 300 as well.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that's the 300 is going in as like the base. Just like we talked about Sadiq Bey being the base, that 3 being such a good base for parlays. I feel the same way. It's very rare that you get like a 220 or like a 240, 250. I don't even know what the price is. It's
270 on FanDuel.
I was going to say, I have to give the bare minimum price because I'm so tired of guessing wrong too high, But if you get those, 300s or whatever, you always want to take advantage of that.
Beautiful. Let me pull this up here. Let's go through our recap here. We got 35, you guys. Appreciate you all staying through the first 40 minutes of the show. Always appreciate all the support you guys give us here. Hit that like button if you could, and subscribe if you haven't already. Stu, let's go through our recap here and then see if you got a long shot for us.
Sounds good. I do have a long shot. Just got to check an injury report real quick. But we are going Lamar Jackson over 8.5 rush attempts, minus 135. Like I said, 1 unit spot right now, but I could see if 10 is plus money in a couple spots, we finally get FanDuel to open up that alt, then I think I could go on a plus money double up right here as well. Loving Lamar rush attempts this week. Then we got a little same game combination right here. Like I said, Devontae Adams, 50 receiving yards. Justin Fields, 50 rushing yards, minus 122 over on DraftKings. And minus 105 on Bet365 if you have it, by the way. Great call. Appreciate that, Sean.
All right, I'm going Michael Pittman, 6 catches, CeeDee Lamb, 70. And then I'm going with Josh Allen over 24.5 completions. Stu, what do you got for the people here? What is that long shot you're looking at here for today's game?
Yeah, so one leg I like. I'm putting together a parlay right now, and I had to check on the AJ Terrell injury status because I think that's a big deal. I think if AJ Terrell doesn't play, by the way, Tampa Bay Atlanta might be a great overs game. We haven't got to that yet, and I don't want to double up on a prop that I already put out on Twitter where I put Drake London receiving yards out. I already put that out. I like the ladder on that, but I'm looking at the other side, right? Because I do think there's offense. The real question, it comes down to AJ Terrell if I'm going to go Evans or Godwin, right? Because I do think Terrell is going to be strapped to Evans a little bit more. That being said, even though the consensus market still is liking Godwin this week because of the coach speak, I'm going back to Evans. Evans, I watch this tape every week. He should have, the dude is lapping everyone in air yards. And he's Baker Mayfield's first read on almost every one of these plays. It's the same thing with the Josh Downs thing. It doesn't matter how many coach quotes we have when we have to get this guy involved. The coach isn't the quarterback. Baker Mayfield is locked in on checking the ball down, dumping the ball down, and chucking it 40 yards down the field right here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get why does FanDuel not have their good alt lines up right now? Okay. What I want to do is I want to parlay Evans and Mingo together. And I'm going to
I have Mingo. That's one of mine too as well.
Oh, okay. Fuck. Well, okay.
I'm at 70 yards. I'm at plus 430. So that's
okay. I'm gonna put this in. The prices suck right now. I don't want to give out FanDuel doesn't have the all lines. They're gonna be better there.
For which one? For who? For Tampa?
Yeah, for Tampa.
Yeah, I looked at them too for some Rachaad White long shots as well.
I'll just go. I was going to go Mingo 6 catches is one of my parlay pieces at 360. And then I was going to parlay it with the Tampa game. But I don't see shit in the Tampa game that's good pricing right now. Hopefully that analysis helps you. I'll post about it on Twitter a little bit later in the week. But right now, the Mingo 6 catches at plus 360 is what I like. He had a 35% target share. 35% first read target share last week. That's a really good sign. When we mix things up, you want to jump on these trends as soon as possible. So not only do I like his regular line at 3.5, and that was almost a play on the show, I really like taking advantage of that new role not being baked in at these higher alt lines. So for me, 6 receptions at plus 360 on FanDuel right now is a great play. I will be looking to do some parlays with Drake London and Mike Evans in that Tampa Bay game as well. I'm just waiting to get some good alternate lines. And I covered at the beginning of the show, but I love Devontae alt lines as well.
What is your line for 6 catches?
It's plus 360.
Because the funny thing is, I already had mine locked in as well. I did 70 yards at 430 for the same guy. The guy I talked about that I'm playing in DFS this week. Mingo there. I really liked him in college at Ole Miss. Dude was a stud. Dude's just so athletic, man. He can make those big plays pretty easy. And that's what we talked about all year. You betting Bryce Young under longest reception or longest completion. This is the guy that will be able to do it, right? 6'2", 40-inch vert, super athletic, great after the catch if you need that, right? I mean, it's tough for me to want to get away from this dude if I'm going to see him get, 10 targets? Dude just went for 60 back-to-back games, bro. You're going to give me 430 on this? It just seems a little off to me, especially at that price. I'm not a fan of this Saints team. I think they suck. They also have
Lattimore too.
Yep, Lattimore's out. Just literally right about what to say there. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to do that. I mean, I understand Panthers are going to be slow. They're going to have probably 25, 30 carries to Chuba and Miles Sanders. So, those are the plays you got to run that play action. And they run a ton of play action because Bryce Young needs to get out of the pocket because he's not big enough to see over that line, dude. Run the play action, throw the deep ball. You have, Hayden Hurst on the concussion protocol list. He's their underneath guy. Maybe you see a little bit more go to Thielen maybe on those underneath ones, but who are they trying to back it down or throw it down the field? It's Mingo, DJ Chark. And guess what? I would rather have Mingo in that chance. A young guy, showing he has the upside. I haven't seen we haven't had a combination like this before, where we both are playing the same dude. So this will be interesting.
Well, the same random dude. Like, I could see you and me getting to the same conclusion on a more popular player. I'm shocked that we both came in here on the same, bad, not, I don't want to call him a bad player, but you know what I mean? In the sense of, like, he's just not a very relevant player in most guys' mind. But we're seeing the same thing right here. Like I said, I was shocked. He doubled Adam Thielen's first read target share last week. New system. They're mixing it up a little bit over there. DJ Chark is back, but I do think that's a bit of good news because he's running mostly deeper routes. He's kind of opening up these opportunities. And I don't know if you've watched DJ Chark. He doesn't like separate. He's never open. He's a contested catch wide receiver. It's not necessarily his job to always get open. If you watch Bryce Young, he will not throw to you if you're not wide open. Like, I mean, I don't want to say if it's not like the yips. I think it's just a rookie quarterback that sucked, feeling all the pressure. He is not throwing into tight windows. He's throwing the ball away more than any quarterback in the league right now. So for me, I do like to see that right here. I think Mingo will be open a little bit more. And yeah, him doubling Thielen in that first outing. I'm glad we were both seeing it right there. I think it's a good opportunity. No Lattimore. I don't think people are necessarily taking into account how bad the Saints defense might actually be right now. And even if, the Panthers aren't good, I think we can take advantage with some long shots.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at like the longest completion that Bryce Young's had, right, in these games, right? He had a 31-yard completion in that last game. Who did it go to? Mingo, right? He had a 24-yard completion the game before to Mingo, right? He's actually pushing the ball down the field to Mingo. Even before they switched, he had one game with a 40-yard completion. Who did it go to? Mingo. And he was barely on the fucking field. He was barely out there, dude, in the game against Houston where they beat the Houston Texans, dude. He went for 5. He only had 5 targets, went 4 for 62, but got that 40-yard reception. That's what I'm saying. You already saw the flashes early on. This is about that time when you see some of these bad teams want to get that experience. Exactly what we just talked about with Chase Brown, bro. You want to get those guys in there. Now it's the time you want to do it. I'd rather see him than watch DJ Chark do what he's done the last 4 years. And it never looks good. Never does anything after the catch. It's just throw it up and you hope that it's pass interference or he comes down with one of his 9 passes. So I'm saying, dude, give me some Jonathan Mingo, high upside dude. Like I said, I mentioned at the beginning of the show already. He was already one of my first plays. I locked in for DK at 3Ks. So hopefully none of you guys play DraftKings. Or if you do, you're not in any of my contests because he will be 100% over.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're on the same page right here. Definitely liking these long shots. And too, I see Sean in the chat too with posting the odds, the Lamar 10 rush attempts at 14.27. Like I said, at 14.25, I got a little bit of that last night. I know it's kind of a crazy number for a lot of people, but if we see the game script that I'm imagining, I do think it's worth $5-10. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a pretty okay spot. So yeah, that, and I mean, always Devontae Adams to lead the slate in receiving yards will also be a bet whenever. I don't know if that market is up right now. They normally wait till a little bit later, but I will definitely be betting that. And actually, one more question before we get off here, because it's on my mind when I think of to lead the receiving yards. Are you in on Justin Jefferson this week? What are you thinking about that?
I am. I'm fine with playing him. I don't know if he's going to play full snap shares or anything like that, but it's tough because my under the radar guy always is betting on Nico Collins, right? He's going to have the sauce treatment out there with no Dalton Schultz and nothing there. So I mean, that's a guy I always like to bet on in these markets. I mean, there's not many guys I can think of that would lead this slate, So that's the tough part, but the good part for us when we're betting on these, where it's like there's not one guy that stands out specifically that makes me feel, confident in betting on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just, okay, it's true because Tyreek's off the main slate. That's a good point. He's always automatic. Okay, so that probably does mean we get a worse price because normally when there's those high-level guys, then everyone's, price kind of goes down a little. But to me, like Justin Jefferson, additionally, to lead the week in receiver, the slate in receiving yards seems like a great bet to me. Like I mean, he's at 60 receiving yards right now. You're right. I don't know if he's going to play full snaps, but what we do know is they've been repeatedly consistent in the fact that they've been safe about bringing him back, right? They've been very safe about it. They even let him get the bye. There were rumors he was going to come back like 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And it was getting pretty serious. So I think he might be healthy, and I think there's just going to be some value on some of those, higher markets up there. And I mean, going into a week with Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson to lead the week in receiving yards, is a good feeling especially if you're not getting in that plus 100, which it's obviously not going to be. So I like those two spots as well if you're looking for that market.
Yeah, I'm looking on some Canby books. They don't even have Mingo receiving yards out there. 15.5 longest completion, also a possible spot to look at there. But, I want to bet on his actual full game yards here. So I think we saw one thing. No, those are our long shots. We're not going to do like anytime touchdowns, usually just a thing that we throw in for a long shot stuff. But we already just posted our 2 long shots there. Will David Montgomery go over 58.5 yards?
I think so. It's hard.
I don't hate it, but don't you feel like that game's going to be just like more of a grind than it is what everybody thinks it's going to be?
Yeah. I mean, well, actually, no, because people like the Bears this week, and I don't like the Bears. Like, I'm not buying the hype at all right now. I like Fields from a betting perspective. I think the Lions have sucked these last couple of weeks. They've been terrible, and they still are kind of winning, even though they maybe shouldn't be. So for me, they're playing a bad team right here. I like the Lions. I think Montgomery gets ahead and they help grind it out. The problem is if you're with the majority right here and maybe you don't agree with me and you like the Bears, because that's what I'm seeing. I think the Bears are one of the most popular dogs of the week right here. If you're not agreeing with me, then maybe you'll disagree. But I like it. I like Montgomery. I'm a big fan of him in general, though. You got to remember, he's made me a lot of money so far this year. So I'm a little bit more likely to be a little more positive to him so far.
All right, let me give this hypothetical out to you. We're talking about that game. If you had to put a bet in there, would you play Justin Fields passing plus rushing at 261, or would you be more apt to going to like a DJ Moore at 70 receiving yards, seeing as he's just absolutely crushed every time that we've seen Fields out there?
That's a good question. I'd probably go pass plus rushing. Just keep your options open. I like if you're an offense that dinks and dunks and then throws a deep ball every once in a while. For me, I never want to depend on who the deep ball guy is going to be. You know what I mean? Like I like having that option of it being multiple people, not necessarily eyeing in on one of them. And yeah, I mean, if you do want an anytime touchdown prop, I think David Montgomery would be a good option for kind of a juiced prop, obviously, one that's maybe not as good odds. And then if you want maybe more of a plus money one, I think got to go back to my guy Jake Ferguson once again. Legend, great red zone usage. Obviously, he leads the league in targets within the 5-yard line so far, and he goes up against a team that doesn't have linebackers or safeties. So that's another touchdown one if you're looking for it.
All right. Fuck. I want to bet on Chuba now too, bro. But I thought the 13 and a half. I thought the 13 and a half was his carries, but it's his longest rush. So I was like, bro, I would have just fucking nuked that to oblivion.
I was going to say, we got to get off the show right now if that's the case.
That was, no, I'm looking on the Canby books because I haven't found the attempts or anything at good prices. So just thought I would look that up too. So, all right, Sue, what do you got for the people before we head out? We got everything out there. We got our long shot. We got dogs. We got all this stuff. What do you got for the people here before we dip out today?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you're following over on Twitter if you want to keep track of all the plays. Obviously, we're going to have free stuff throughout the weekend. If you have any questions still, you weren't able to make it live, always make sure to drop them in the comments. And hey, while you're there, leave a like on the video. It takes 5 seconds, matters a lot, blah, blah, blah. You know all the good stuff. I already have a couple props out. Brian Branch, over 5.5 tackles and assists, and Drake London over 45.5 receiving yards. I think I have 4 great props so far this week. I'm excited to add a couple more, and hopefully you guys will join us. Tell me, tell Justin, leave a like on the video, all that stuff, because I got a good feeling. I think we got some really good props out here today.
Yes, for sure. I posted my YouTube play of the day about 30 minutes prior to the show with some NBA stuff. 13-game NBA slate tonight. Crazy. Got my one guy there that I'll be betting on there. Shitty college slate, so don't have a college basketball bet for that yet. But thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Closing in on that hour mark that we usually like to get out of here on. So if you could hit that like button, we'd appreciate it. If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. If we have any other long shots or anything like that, we'll probably drop them in the comments as well. So make sure you're tuning in with the video, probably Sunday morning, making sure you get another check-in on if we have anything extra. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the best, and we will see you on Monday, hopefully, talking about that 4-0 sweep from the weekend. So have a good one, guys, and let's go, Jonathan Mingo, baby. Let's go.